What is going on, everybody? Welcome to or back to Ryder's Record Collection. My name is Carl. I'm going to do a bit of a how-to video today, and we got a lot of new people here joining the vinyl community, getting into vinyl. It's getting big. They're selling it all over the place. I'm all about it. Going to kind of help out the cost of some of these records that I want to get and get some new people into this hobby that we all enjoy. But in this video, I wanted to do how to use a turntable, just really basic turntable stuff, you know, parts of a turntable and how to actually like put a record on a turntable and play said record. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So the way that I'm going to structure this video is I'm going to do a part one, which is going to be on my Audio-Technica LP60, go through all the parts there and how to use that one, and then part two will be basically reiteration of that on my Fluance RT85. So I'll leave a timestamp down below, so if you're curious to see what happens with the RT85 and you know you want to skip the first part, you can, but without any further ado, we'll hop on over to the turntable. So here we are at the Audio-Technica. I've talked at length about this turntable. This was the first turntable I started with. I've had two of these. If you're curious about that, I'll leave a link to that review video down below. But before we get into using it, let's go through the components of a record player real quick. And this may seem redundant, but most turntables come equipped with a dust cover. This is your dust cover. Obviously, you've got to open it to play records. So within what is a turntable, you have several components that make up a turntable. Those components are a platter, which is this thing right here. Some platters are aluminum, some platters are acrylic. My platter on the Fluance is an acrylic platter, and then you have a mat which goes over certain platters. This is a leather deer hide mat or something like that, made by Jake's Turntable Mats. You have the spindle, which is what centers the record on there. Underneath this, you've got a belt and a little motor which actually spins the platter. The spinning of the platter is important because that's what actually makes the record play. Another component of what makes a record play is you have the tone arm, the stylus, and the cartridge, which is all of this right here. As you can tell, that's what actually drops onto the record and makes it play. So, as you can see, I just accidentally started it. So some of the more intricacies of a turntable is you have a cueing arm or a lifting arm, which is this button right here. On the Fluance, you can manually do it. I'll show you that. But that is this little component in the back right here that lifts the tone arm up. This is how you can slide across and pick particular songs. I'll show you how to do that once we actually get using this thing. This particular turntable also comes with a start and a stop button. Not all turntables do that. The Fluance, you have to manually place the needle onto the record, and there's several other record players that also require that. This button right here, which could also be a knob or a switch, is what determines the speed of the record. This turntable only spins at 33 1/3 and 45 RPMs, which is pretty standard. If you have a 78 and you want to play a 78, I believe you have to get a particular turntable to do that. One last thing here that I want to show you. This is the size indicator for the auto start and stop on the Audio-Technica. If you were to play a 45, which is a smaller record, I will show you how to do that at some point. You would have to indicate that to the 7-inch switch right there, and it will bring it in further as opposed to the 12-inch LP. That is a switch. On other turntables, they do not have that option. You would actually have to place the needle onto the record where you would like it, hence the cueing arm. So now that we've rolled through the components of a record player, I'll show you how to use this particular record player. For this, I'm going to use this cool little compilation that I got recently, Wixie 1260% 21 Super Golden Classics Volume 3. Unfortunately, you guys won't be able to hear it, but just in case you were curious, it's a really cool compilation album. I highly recommend it. So you got your record and your inner sleeve. So the first thing you want to do, again, it sounds redundant, is you want to open the turntable cover. You want to get your record ready. You want to slide it out of the sleeve. You want to handle records a certain way. You want to touch them by the edges like this. You don't want to put your fingers all over them. You're going to place it onto the spindle right there like so. And again, this has the auto start. So if I was to do the auto start, I would just press the start button with this one. And any automatic turntable, this is standard what's going to happen right here. It'll go ahead and just drop it on there and start it for you. Now again, not every turntable does that. I'll show you how to do that if your particular turntable doesn't have that. This also has an auto stop, which not every turntable has. If you have a manual turntable, you will not have an auto stop, but an auto stop is going to do this. You press the auto stop, it's going to use the cueing arm, and it's going to stop the record. Now, that is if your turntable is fully automatic. If your turntable is not fully automatic, we'll ignore these two buttons right here, the start and the stop button rather, and we'll only focus on the queuing arm. Again, some turntables, the queuing arm is back here. I'll show you that on the Fluance here in a minute, but this particular tone arm, you have to press the queuing lever, and if you wanted to manually start this record or you had to manually start this record, you're going to pick it up and you're going to move it to the edge of the record. You're going to press the queuing lever again and you're going to let it drop, and bam, you've started your record. That also applies to if you wanted to put on a different song. So hypothetically speaking, if I wanted to go to track 4 or something, I'm going to pick this up so it's off the record, put it there, and then I'm going to press that button again and I'm going to drop it. Or I'm going to lower the queuing lever and drop it. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stop this because this isn't plugged in and you guys can't really hear anything except for my voice. And I mentioned that you guys aren't going to hear anything because this thing is not set up. There's no receiver or speakers plugged into this particular setup right here. I've modernized mine and I use the Fluance RT85, but in addition to a turntable, you need other components to complete a system. You're going to need a preamp, or a receiver, and a pair of speakers. Some, again, I made a whole video on this. Some are all in one. Some plug into them. I'll leave a link to that video here as well. But I'm going to try and get you guys a zoom-in shot of the cartridge and the needle. It's more clear on the Fluance, but I will show you guys what those components are in case you've never seen them before. Again, I made some modifications to this one. So this is a different cartridge head than the white one that it standard comes with, but nonetheless, it's all the same. So I think it's focused in the back. I'm not sure how clear this part of it's going to come out. Maybe that'll help. No, maybe not. But that blue thing is the cartridge, and if you could see, there is a little tiny thing underneath it, and that is the needle. I'll show you how to start this thing up close, both automatic and manually, so that way you get a different view, and then we'll jump on over to the Fluance. So here's it starting automatically. Press the button, let it ride. There's this stopping automatically. Obviously, you're going to let the whole record play and it'll be on the other end. But again, just a closer view, different vantage point of what's actually going to happen. If you find that your record is going further in, then you need to hit that switch right there because you've got it on a 7-inch. I'll show you what happens when we do that when we play a 7-inch. But this is if you were to manually start it. You've got the tone arm up. Oh, you've got the tone arm up. You can see it lift there. Go over here. And you just drop it. So again, just another vantage point. Let's do a 7-inch right now, which is a smaller record, so you guys can see how that works, and then we'll go over to the Fluance. So if we were to play a 7-inch, this is going to be a smaller record. Again, the bigger records are 12 inches, and these smaller records here are 7 inches. You'd need an adapter to center those on the turntable. Some turntables have them that come with them, and you can just move them on and off. But same thing, you're going to put the record on the turntable, and then what you want to do is you want to make sure you hit this switch for an automatic turntable to switch it to a 7-inch. You're going to then press start, and this thing's going to move it further in to drop it specifically on that 7-inch single. Oh, the queuing arm is up. You're going to put the queuing arm down, and bam, it's dropped onto that single. Same thing applies if you were to turn it off. Another thing that you're going to want to do, which I did not do in that example just now, is you're going to want to adjust the speed, which again is going to be a button or a knob. You're going to want to put it at 45 RPMs. That speeds the speed that the platter is spinning up, otherwise your music will sound distorted. Some LPs, some 12 inches spin at 45 RPM, so it's important to figure that out. If you put on a record and it sounds weird, sounds like really off-center grunge, or it sounds like Alvin and the Chipmunks, it's probably playing at the wrong speed. So this is it at the right speed. You might be able to see a difference. I'm going to manually put this one on there. Again, manual. You only have to adjust the speed. You don't have to adjust the knob as to where the needle drops, but you're going to go put the queuing lever up, which I did not just do. Move it here into the center and let that stuff drop. And you can see now that I've done it right and it's at the right speed, how quickly it's turning as opposed to the 33 1/3 RPMs. So now we'll hop on over to the Fluance. So here we are at the Fluance. This is my primary turntable. I love this thing. I am super happy. We'll roll through the components of the Fluance real quick just to reiterate. Right here, this knob is what determines the speed at which the record plays. You have the platter, which I mentioned is acrylic. You can see the belt on the platter. The motor is within here, the plinth. You have the tone arm, the cartridge, the needle, which you can more clearly see on here. You've got the cueing lever over here, and this particular turntable also has a counterweight. Some turntables have a counterweight, not all turntables have a counterweight. I am not sure how many entry-level fully automated turntables do have a counterweight, but if you do, that's something that you definitely need to adjust. So for this demonstration, and for the sake of aesthetics, I'm going to be doing the Laz, their most recent album, Laz. This is a recent arrival, and again, I'm just doing this for the sake of aesthetics, but this is how you use the Fluance RT85, and I'm going to be putting on a very nice vinyl variant for you here. So as I mentioned, you want to hold the record by the edges, and you want to put it down just in the middle there. You want to determine your speed over here. You want to put it on 33 1/3 RPMs. You want to make sure your receiver's on. You've already got the cueing lever up. I've already got the cueing lever up. I'm going to move it over. It's going to start to spin. You want to make sure your record's spinning. And you're going to drop it. And again, that cueing lever is over here. So now that it's actually on the turntable, I'll go ahead and show you what it does. If you wanted to stop this, if you wanted to lift the needle off the record, you would simply lift this up. It will lift it, and then again, to choose songs, you would slide either direction to where the thick line is. I made a video recently on that, so I'll leave a link to that video if you want to learn more about how to handle records and things of that nature. Again, you're going to put it over here, and you can put that down when the record's not playing. I leave it in the habit of leaving it up just in case I forget. I don't want to drop the needle on the record too hard and damage the needle. Again, so just basically up, over. That was a bad one. So again, you're going to go up, over, slightly drop, bam. It's weird doing it from this angle. Normally I'm standing where the camera is, but that is how you start a 12-inch on a Fluance RT85. Again, we'll go over a 7-inch here in a moment. And we'll go ahead and do a 7-inch 45 real quick. This is going to be the Growlers Who Loves the Scum. Again, for the sake of aesthetics, it's a cool looking blue record. So you're going to put it on 45 RPM. And as I mentioned with the Fluance, some of these 45s do need an adapter. This one particularly does not, but if you need an adapter, you got to make sure you have that on your turntable or in that center hole to center it on the spindle. Again, same thing, put it right on there. If you have a fully automated turntable, you make sure you switch it to the 45 gear and you start it up. I don't. Make sure your cueing lever's up, and then same thing. You're going to go over there and make sure it's over it. You're going to drop. Now you're playing a 45. Again, if it comes out sounding distorted or like Alvin and the Chipmunks, there's a good possibility you have it on the wrong speed. But 45, same thing to stop it. Lift the cueing lever, pull it off. And that's the Fluance. That's the RT85. I'll take a step back here. I'll show you the whole system because, as I mentioned, you have to have other components to make a full-on record system. So I'll just show you those real quick. So as I mentioned with the Audio-Technica, you need either a preamp or a receiver and speakers to actually power and generate the sound that the record is making. So I've got my receiver there. I've got two bookshelf speakers. The other one you can't see. It's on the right-hand side of the camera here. But my Audio-Technica LP used to be plugged into this before I got the Fluance. I've slowly built my system. I made a video on some other, as I mentioned, some other different suitcase, different turntables that I would recommend, different routes that I would recommend going. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link to that as well. All right, I'm back in the chair. It's the end of the video. Hopefully you guys have learned something. If you did, please throw this video a like. Please comment below with any other tips and advice you guys might want me to cover, you guys might want to contribute to, and tell other new people about. Ooh, voice just went out there for a little bit, but yeah. Any other tips and advice you want to share, anything else you want me to cover, please throw it down below. If you like this video, please throw it a like. Please like, subscribe, tell a friend. Again, I'm going to kind of just keep going to weird avenues with videos and just show you some of Florida life, talk a lot of music, because that's primarily what this channel is about. Talk some more gear, tips, and advice. But until the next time, I am Carl. This is Ryder's Record Collection. Have some fun, spin some wax, have a good time, love one another. Cheers.